It took me 40 years to learn what I'm about to tell you in 10 minutes. My name is Margaret. I'm 68 years old, and I want to be honest with you right away. I was not a wise person in my 40s. I was not someone who had it figured out. I was someone who was busy, overwhelmed, and completely convinced that I would sort out the important things later. Later. That word cost me more than I can calculate. Because here is what nobody tells you when you're in the middle of your life. You don't realize you're making the biggest decisions of your life while you're making them. You think you're just getting through the week. You think you're just managing. You think the real choices are still ahead of you. They're not. You're already in them. So let me give you the 10 minutes I wish someone had given me at your age. The first thing it took me 40 years to understand: your body is not a machine you can ignore and repair later. In my 30s and 40s, I treated my health like a car I kept meaning to take to the shop. I'll deal with it when something breaks. I'll start eating better next month. I'll sleep more once things calm down. Things never calm down. And one morning I woke up at 57 and realized that every shortcut I had taken with my body had accumulated into something I couldn't shortcut my way out of. The aches I ignored became limitations. The exhaustion I pushed through became a baseline. The weight I kept meaning to address became a health conversation I didn't want to have. Your body remembers everything you do to it, and everything you don't. You cannot negotiate with time. You can only decide right now what you're going to do with it. The second thing, the relationships you neglect don't wait for you. I was so focused on being productive that I confused being busy with being present. I thought my friendships would survive my absence. I thought my closest people understood that I cared, even when I didn't call, didn't show up, didn't make the time. Some of them did understand, and some of them quietly stopped waiting. I didn't notice the distance growing because I was always going to fix it next month, next year, when things slowed down. And then one day I looked around and realized that some of the people I loved most had simply built their lives without me in them, not out of cruelty, out of necessity. Relationships don't die loudly. They die in the silence between ignored calls and canceled plans. The people who matter to you, they need you now. Not the future version of you who finally has time, the version of you that exists today. The third thing, and this one I resisted the longest: you cannot pour from an empty cup. And I spent 2 decades proud of how empty mine was. I thought exhaustion was a badge. I thought running on nothing meant I was serious, committed, strong. What it actually meant was that I had nothing real left to give anyone, including myself. I skipped meals, I skipped sleep, I skipped rest because rest felt like falling behind. But here's what I know now at 68 that I didn't know at 38. Your energy is not just a resource. It's the foundation of every single thing you want to build. Your health, your relationships, your clarity, your joy, all of it runs on the same fuel. And when you burn it all without refilling, you don't just get tired. You lose years. You lose the sharpness that lets you make good decisions. You lose the patience that holds your closest relationships together. You lose the version of yourself that you actually wanted to be. Rest is not a reward for finishing. Rest is what makes finishing possible. The fourth thing, most of what I worried about never happened, and the things that did, I survived anyway. I spent so much of my life anxious about outcomes I couldn't control, lying awake running through scenarios, carrying weight that hadn't happened yet and might never happen at all. And looking back now and the fears that consumed the most years of my life, most of them were never real. They were stories I told myself so convincingly that I lived as though they had already come true. The things that actually went wrong, I got through them, not gracefully, not without pain, but I got through them. Worry is not preparation. It is suffering you pay in advance for something that may never arrive. I cannot get those nights back. I cannot undo the tension I carried in my body for decades over things that dissolved on their own. What I can do is tell you, put the weight down, not because nothing bad will happen, but because carrying it early doesn't stop it. It only costs you the present. The fifth thing, the one I wish most that someone had told me. The life you keep waiting to start, that is already your life. I spent years thinking I was in a temporary chapter, that the real thing was coming, that once the kids were older, once the finances settled, once work slowed down, once I finally got on top of everything, then I would actually start living. I was 61 before I understood what I had been doing. I had been treating my actual life like a waiting room. There is no later version of your life that will be more real than this one. The Tuesday you're living right now, that is not a rehearsal. That is the thing itself, the walk you keep meaning to take, the person you keep meaning to call, the thing you keep meaning to start. It is all happening now, or it isn't happening. I'm 68 years old. I am healthier than I was at 50 because I finally stopped treating my body like it owed me patience I hadn't earned. I have fewer friends than I once did, but the ones I have, I actually show up for. I sleep, I rest without guilt. I worry less, not because life got easier, but because I finally understood that worry was a choice I kept making. I did not learn any of this quickly. I learned it the slow, expensive way, through loss and regret and the particular clarity that comes from looking back at decades and seeing exactly where you went wrong. You don't have to do it that way. That's why I'm still talking. The life you want is not waiting for you on the other side of someday. It's available right now the moment you stop treating today like it doesn't count. Don't waste it the way I wasted mine. You still have time, but time is the one thing that has never once waited for anyone. Start now.